you, the whole group. Thank you, wonderful people. This is what I plan to do during my few minutes. I plan to share with you a little bit of background how I got into this field of this line of work, since I'm very frequently asked, how did you get into taking care of the elderly? And also be very, very specific as to what I really do. And then I'll be able to leave some time for any questions or perhaps testimonials, but it's going to be quite short to the point and enabling any questions to be answered following my few minutes of talking. So yes, I've been doing this for about 29 years. And as you can see from the door behind me, I'm originally from England. You probably hear it too. Um, and at the age of 13, I was cycling on my chopper. That's the name of the bike that I had. And I saw a notice board in the community center offering work to do gardening for the local elderly in the community. So at the age of 13, I was sitting in front of Mrs. Grace English, waiting to hear exactly what she'd like to have done in her garden. Little did I know. And it's not as if I was a gardener or landscaper at the age of 13. And she said, forget my garden, it's raining outside and all I need is a companion. Take a seat here. I can't see my garden behind my recliner, and drink a cup of tea with me and I'll sign your timesheet. Well, what did I know the difference? There I was sitting weekly having a tea with Mrs. Grace English, and she became a grandmother to me. And I did do gardening for a few other elderly. This is on Friday afternoons on my bike, on my chopper, for 3 hours or something after school. And this might have been for 2 or 3 months, but it did have quite an impact on me. I volunteered in a few, one or two assisted livings during my teenage years. And at the age of 21, got myself a job as an aide. So for quite a number of years, I was doing exactly what it is that I provide. And I grew this career not in England, but actually in Israel, in Jerusalem. I lived there for 21 years and became the director of what was the largest home care agency in Jerusalem, and came out here for a vacation for 2 weeks and stayed. Both brothers, my brother from England and myself, we were here on vacation, both married to American wives, and we both stayed here to be together in family, with family. And I set up DanielCare as basically knowing that field of business after 17 years doing so in Jerusalem. So what exactly do I do? There are two sides to my business. I provide medical care, which is covered by Medicare. In other words, a rehab for someone coming out of hospital or a rehab center, where for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, they need extra support with a physical therapist, with a nurse, with an aide, with maybe social worker, occupational therapy. There are a few what we call disciplines that provide what Medicare covers for anyone 65 and above who is needing that after having received a doctor's order, a prescription, and my nurse or physical therapist, with basically checks and balances for Medicare, can ascertain that they do need that help at home. And then we come, and you see these nurses coming in with bags on wheels. We come to the home and set up a plan and make sure that that's achieved, or we stop if we see that that individual is not able to handle that type of service. Either they're not capable physically or mentally to continue with whatever the plan may be, in which case we'd have to stop. So it's not ongoing, but it is free, and it's to support the individual and avoid readmission to hospital. The second part that we do is non-medical, and that, which is what I mention most of the time, week by week, is helping the elderly with companionship or personal care, which could be bathing, dressing, whatever the elderly individual may need. And again, within their home typically, and for as long as they'd like, that's paid out of pocket. Those individuals that cannot afford it might be entitled to Medicaid, and then that being paid partly by the state and partly by federal, they would support the service. Some people have a copay to pay, many don't. What I've just said is that both on the medical and non-medical, it enables us to provide the full range of services that anyone could need at home. And to the best of my knowledge, we're the only group, both in Stamford and in Shelton, that can provide both non-medical and medical under the same roof. So the piece that differentiates what we do is that I personally am very involved. I handhold and start every single non-medical side. I'm not a clinician myself, but I have a very strong team on the medical side that manage that for me. But on the non-medical side, I will personally go in and set everything up. And I have what we call field supervisors who will follow through after my visit in making sure that regular visits and touches to make sure that both the caregivers and the elderly are feeling genuine support. So that's what I've been doing for 29 years. I do enjoy what I do. Like everyone, it's not all 100%, but overall, I sort of feel I found a niche of what I enjoy, and therefore I feel quite good at what I do. And I think that will be it. So if anyone does have any questions, any specifics, please feel free to ask anything you like. Thank you.
Amy? Amy, you're muted. Still muted.
Yeah, but I can lip read.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I was having a little technical difficulty. Daniel, talk to us a little bit about the location parameters that you have. Or do you work in Westchester County? Do you work on Long Island? Just so that, because we have, I'm sure many of us have elderly in and around the tri-state area, and that would be helpful.
No, I don't. The important piece for me is to stay within a small region so that I can really follow through with what I just said. So I'm very involved and very regularly visiting along with my team. So if it was stretched a little far, I wouldn't be able to help. But as I've done a few times, I can call a local agency, speak the language, and set up the connection. But I'm not able to provide services. I'm not licensed to work in Westchester in New York, and I don't go further than like a 3/4 of an hour radius to where we are.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you.
Just understanding the first part of what you do, like if I break my leg and I need care at home, am I old enough? You mentioned Medicaid. I think you have to be Medicare. So do you have to be, tell me, yeah.
So good question. Medicaid, the word aid will help us remember. It took me 15 years to remember. Aid to help someone that doesn't have the finances. That could help remember that that's where it's for low income. And so the answer is, yeah. The answer is that we do work with the insurances as well. It wouldn't be Medicare that would continue at home for someone who's under 65, but we do work with the medical insurance that I didn't mention earlier.
Thank you.
Daniel, can I give you an unsolicited kudos?
Sure, we have a few minutes.
So it's been an interesting year, but one of the backdrops is that my roommate in the last year and a half has had a heart attack and 2 strokes. And if you can imagine being 45 years old and confined to your home with an LVAD that you wear around your, basically your chest, that continues to keep your left ventricle pumping blood, and you're in line during COVID for a heart transplant. And you have a new wife, literally, who you married 6 weeks before you had your heart attack. And these are the kinds of things that Daniel helps with. And I have my neighbors upstairs and I see the caregivers come and go. Daniel's showed up several times in person to make introductions. There was a period, one incident where we needed a driver to get him to the hospital down in New York City. And Daniel came over and introduced the driver personally. And Badan was able to get to his appointment. And the difference since I've introduced Daniel to this house is just incredible. We have people that are helping with food. We have people that are helping keep things clean. We have people who are providing good cheer. It's really lightened up the atmosphere in, within a very difficult situation like that. There's a lot of joy. There's a lot of caring and compassion, and we actually have fun, as hard as that might be to imagine. But Daniel's service was critical to helping elevate the situation where we could have more joy and more fun, and there was less of a hassle. As you can imagine, the amount of medical care that he requires, fun isn't always the word of the day. And so I really was, I'm trying to find the words to convey how much the service that Dan provides to a family means. And if you ever make a recommendation, you can do so with confidence based on my experience. And so that's, I think, sums it up. But Daniel, thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith.